What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Will, joined as always by Miss Ayrika.
Hey!
And on today's video, we're going to be reviewing Carrion. We just finished our gameplay walkthrough extravaganza, finished all those episodes, which you can check out down below. You like that word, extravaganza?
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good word. But yeah, we'll leave those episodes down in the description box below in case you haven't checked it out, because everything from here on out will be very spoiler-rific, spoiler-laden stuff. We're going to be talking about the gameplay, the story, and visual, you know, music, overall aesthetics. These are the three main categories we like to grade our games on. And yeah, anything you want to say before we jump into it?
Nope, let's go.
All right, see you in a sec. All right, starting off with the story. Kind of feel like this will be a short section.
Yeah, so, well, we did miss a portion of the story.
Well,
so during that time that we were human, and we discovered the monster can go inside of humans or disguise itself as humans, not really sure. But up until the end, we really were just like unknown monster running through unknown military secret government base.
Yeah.
And the end was cool. I thought it was a good ending. I thought it was better than the inside ending, which we both had problems with. There
was a bit more closure to the ending.
Yeah.
Up until that point, the story was pretty vague, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, I think there were only, like 2 or 3 sections. The way the game, if you haven't seen the gameplay, the way it's set up is the story is told through flashbacks. Right. So you play as the monster, but you go into these like machines, and then like something weird happens on screen, and then you start seeing the humans kind of walking around, and you play as the human, and you sort of go through the base. And for me, it wasn't exactly clear what the humans were up to.
No.
They were just kind of walking through the base, sort of looking around, doing stuff.
Right.
We got to a point where eventually we discovered, like you said, that the human we were using the whole time was actually the monster in disguise.
Right.
They killed him. Unclear in that one section, like you were saying, that we kind of got a little fuzzy on the details.
Right.
And then once we got to the end, you know, that kind of came full circle where we were the monster inside the human again.
Right.
Exiting the base. But there wasn't really like a narrative.
No, I wouldn't say there was a narrative, but I did like the ending. I liked, you know, at the end, you kind of just went into like rampage mode.
Yeah.
And you finally get that final power where you transform into the human, and that allows you access to the part where you eventually go up this like really long tunnel elevator shaft.
Yeah, it was like elevator.
And then they reveal the city, and that like your part of the city was like, I don't know, quarantined off. And
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, which I thought was cool. But like the rest, like the city and like the background was intact still. So I mean, the implication is you're going to go out and wreak havoc upon new cities.
Exactly, yeah. So that was cool. I 100% agree with you there. But I guess if this is a game that, you know, if you're into games that have, you know, strong narrative, beginning, middle, end kind of deal, like a story with characters that you follow, this isn't going to be that type of game. No. What this game really is about is the gameplay itself, more so than the story. The story almost felt like it was tacked on in a way. But it, like you said, it did have a cool payoff. So at the very least, you got that.
Yep.
All right, so moving on to gameplay, I think we'll have a lot more to talk about in this section, because there are a lot of pros, I think, but those pros kind of get dragged down a bit by this one major con. Right. That if you watched our gameplay series,
you are aware of.
Yeah, we complained about it endlessly, and we'll get into that. So let's start with the pros.
Yeah, so I liked that you slowly got powers introduced. I think it added a layer to the game. You weren't just like given access to everything right off the bat. You had to like seek things out.
Yep.
And those things allowed you to do things that access new areas. So I thought that was cool. And the puzzles got progressively harder. We were kind of light on puzzles in the beginning. And then eventually we did get to a point where we had to like think about, you know, whether or not we deposited biomass to have access to certain powers, because you only have access to certain powers at certain sizes. So like you had to make a decision, like if I'm bigger, I'm safer health-wise, right? But I also don't have this power or this power. So you kind of had to balance that as you gained more and more powers, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, so basic gameplay, was you're in this base, and it's like a side scroller,
Mhm.
and you're going through the base, and like you said, collecting new powers,
Right.
which allow you to gain access to new areas, do puzzles better, and I think one of the things that we kind of learned as we went along, how to use those powers in combat situations,
Right.
which for me was like the highlight of the game.
Yeah.
The combat was awesome in this game. It was really, really intense.
Mhm.
There was not like a large variety of enemies. I think there were really
No.
only like 3 or 4 major enemies. You like the humans
Yeah.
that were like in armor with like various weaponry, like they
Right.
had machine guns and flamethrowers and stuff. But and then you're like the mechs and regular humans, whatever.
The little drones.
Little drones, yes. I mean, there was enemy variety,
Mhm.
but even with that sort of smallish variety, every combat situation felt varied and different. You had to approach it in so many different ways, and utilizing your powers would give you advantage
Mhm.
as you went along in new and interesting ways. And like you were saying with the depositing the biomass, it was like, some situations the game would sort of force you into a disadvantaged
Yep.
spot,
Right.
and that ratcheted up the tension a lot
Mhm.
when you were playing the game. So
Right.
I really liked the combat quite a bit in this game, and I really liked the powers, like you said,
Mhm.
and how that all tied together with the puzzles and everything else in that nature.
Mhm.
But the one major issue with this game,
Mhm.
and like I said, this is a game, it's a side-scrolling adventure. You're going through this military base. It's kind of this sprawling map.
Yes. Sprawling is a good term for it.
It's a sprawling map that unfortunately has no in-game map.
None.
There is no way for you to track where you've been, where you haven't been,
Mhm.
where you need to go. And there's no, the game put in like very small, subtle things, I
like
think,
the lights.
to try and help you along.
Mhm.
But in a lot of situations, we found ourselves basically like guessing.
Right. And there were some parts where, though we just talked about this as a positive, you got access to a power later, but you had to backtrack to access
something you couldn't access earlier.
Right. And so that backtracking, you would, loop around to a spot and realize, oh, there's blood everywhere. These enemies are gone. I've already been here. But there was like a small portion or like a small tunnel that was inaccessible before.
Right.
Or I guess inaccessible before, and now was. But yeah, there was nothing that looked different enough to be like, oh yes, I need to go this way. And like you mentioned, the subtle signs, the lights, and the only time you had those exit signs, which I thought were the most straightforward guidance.
Yes.
That was only for whenever you completed, the
correct. Once you got the whole panel, so like each level was basically gated by like a door.
Yeah.
And you had to open up each panel of the door by collecting like save points.
Right.
And that's how the level design was. But the level design in itself was not particularly intuitive. And there was several points where we were just lost. And you touched on it a little bit as well about the lack of variance in the maps. So I kind of liken it to Ori and the Blind Forest or the Ori games.
Yeah.
Where you have this huge map, but each section is kind of like its own little like world, its own little like biome within the forest.
Right.
And so it's easy to say, I haven't been here yet because I haven't been to like the snow level. I haven't been to the shadow level.
Right.
Every level in Carrion more or less looks the same, even though you are in like a new area technically, like the bunker or the military whatever.
Right.
It wasn't distinct enough to where I could say, oh, I've been here before, I shouldn't go here, or like or I haven't been here yet, I should go here next.
Yeah, there were like 3 main designs, and it was like you were either in like a bunkery type of thing, like a lab bunker thing. You were in like a grassy jungle thing, or like a super like water heavy area.
Yeah.
But like you said, none of those were distinct enough that you could enter it and immediately be like, especially like absent of enemies, be like, oh, I've been here, or oh, I haven't.
Yeah. So the game lacked some sort of mechanism essentially to ensure you didn't just get lost. Which I think in a game like this, where you have a map where you can backtrack, you have a map where you can re-explore areas you haven't you've been before with your new powers. To like there was all those those canisters that we were supposed to find, like little kind of like collectibles or something, like maybe like an achievement kind of deal.
Yeah. We found two
we found two
sheer luck.
Yeah, because they were just like there.
Right.
You know, so I don't know, like we were saying, all those fun aspects of the combat and like some of the fun puzzles and, you know, the cool powers and stuff, just unfortunately were permeated by sections where we just had no idea what we were supposed to do.
Right.
And that directionless aspect, it kind of brings down the game. And I'm not gonna rule out the possibility that we're just kind of dumb. Like maybe we just maybe there were things in the game that we just didn't notice for whatever reason, because you know we're making a video, we're trying to be,
we were focused.
Yeah, we're focusing on trying to like making, you know, an engaging video as opposed to just like, you know, sitting there idly playing the game. Maybe that was a factor. I don't know.
Could be.
But overall, puzzles, combat, sort of game mechanics, great. No map, not good. Not good. That really brought the game down for me personally. All right, finally coming down to the very end here, we've got the visuals, sound, overall aesthetic of the game. What were your thoughts on that?
So we touched on the maps all kind of looked the same, but they looked cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Like everything looked cool. It had a very distinct style, kind of like a throwback feel.
Yeah, sort of retro-inspired pixel art kind of deal going on.
Right. The monster was cool. You kind of changed a little as you grew in size.
Yeah, that was cool.
So like the appearance changed. The music was awesome. I loved the music.
Yeah, sound design was great in this game. Between the music itself, you know, how it would kind of swell and do all sorts of crazy stuff during battle, and, you know, just regular sections kind of providing that atmosphere. But then also just the general sounds of grabbing someone, the screams coming out, crunching their bones in your mouth, all this like the cool monster stuff. It all sounded really great and really contributed, I would say, to the overall atmosphere of the game.
Yeah, the monster had sounds and people would react to those sounds. It kind of would give away your position, so you had to like consider that too. Or you could like roar and that would like draw people, you know, places if you wanted to. So no, I thought the sound was cool. I mean, yeah, all the places looked the same.
True. There wasn't as much variety in terms of just like new things to look at, places to go, whatever. But everything did look good for what it was, I would say. The game wasn't like mind-blowingly, you know, graphically intense or anything. Obviously, this is like a retro-inspired kind of, you know, pixel art style game. Very, very indie, you know, that sort of feel. But it felt kind of dark, felt sort of sci-fi-y almost. And I feel like all the elements really worked well together. All right, so time to give this game a score. For me personally, I don't want to give it like a super low score because I didn't not have fun. It was just the really frustrating parts were just like agonizing. I'd give this somewhere between a 6 and a 7, maybe erring on a 7 because of how fun the combat was. But depending on what section of the game we were in, maybe I'd give it a 6. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I feel like it's somewhere between a 6 and a 7. Maybe give it a 6.5. I've seen a lot of reviews of this game be pretty high, so I was a little surprised by that. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm a little more generous than you on some of these scores anyway. I would like to give it an 8.
Yeah.
Just because I thought the concept was cool. Like, you were the monster. Like, you weren't some hero saving anyone. Like, you were the monster, and your main objective was to destroy. So I thought the concept was cool. I really enjoyed the gameplay.
Yep.
I liked the mechanics built into the monster with all the powers and just, like, being the monster with the tentacles and everything.
Yeah.
So that was really, really fun. I do wonder, and we mentioned this, I do wonder that if we were playing this on our own and not focused on making
like the production of it all.
Yeah, I do think there probably were some subtle things, because I think as we went, we started to notice some of those, like the lights.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't want to discourage anyone from playing themselves, because I do think that even though that was a huge complaint for us, and that was incredibly frustrating, especially in that first video, I swear we spent most of it just like loop,
we definitely could have cut out like 20 minutes of that video just going in circles, getting mad at ourselves.
So I don't want to discourage anyone from playing. I definitely think it is a game that people should check out.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I do wonder if we played it on our own time, if the map issue wouldn't be as big of an issue.
True.
But the sound, the way it looked, the gameplay, I think everything else works really, really well.
Yeah.
So I think it warrants an 8.
Okay. So yeah, between us, I guess that'd be like a 7-ish, something like that, 7.5 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the point of the game for you.
Yeah, exactly. So this game's free on Xbox Game Pass if you want to check it out there. I think it's maybe like 15-20 bucks on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's available on all platforms as well. So definitely check it out if you get the chance. Let us know your thoughts, what you guys thought of Carrion. Shout out to Phobia Game Studios for making it. Always go support those devs. We'll leave some links down in the description so you can check it out on Steam. And yeah, those are our thoughts on Carrion. Let us know what games you guys want to see next. My name is Will. This is Ayrika. This is Space Talk TV. Make sure to hit that like and sub button. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.